Hello everyone, my name is Hilda and I'm the HR expert, and this is our video part 2 for the top 10 items to report to human resource. So in this video we're going to discuss the last 5 items that I highly recommend that you always communicate and report and consult with your HR representative. So I'm going to start with number 6, an employee is out for more than 3 days. So most of the time employers will have a policy in place which if an employee is out more than 3 days, they cannot return to work unless they have a doctor's note or the human resource is involved at that point. If you don't have that policy, then it's not that important that you follow that process because you don't have that policy. However, best practices are that you should have that type of policy, and it's common policy to have any employee out more than 3 days that it should be reported to human resource so they can follow up, make sure that upon their return there's no medical issues, there's nothing that we should be aware, and we fail not to tell anyone and no one knows, and then the employee shows up and we have a lot of situations and things that we have to deal with at that point. So we're going to talk now about number 7, which is the employees in no call, no show, or is being unresponsive. So a lot of times, and this happens all the time, which an employee is a no call, no show, and they just don't show up. The supervisors or the manager, whoever's in charge, needs to report this immediately. A lot of times the employee could be in the hospital, they're missing, and we need to do, normally the HR department will do a wellness check for this employee. So it's highly important that you report this as soon as you know. Obviously, if they're no call, no show, you will try to call them, communicate, see what's going on. But if they're being unresponsive, at that point you should be reporting to human resource. The following one is when an employee notifies the supervisor of their volunteer resignation. So the moment an employee says, I'm giving you my 2-week notice, or I actually, today's my last day, whatever they're telling you as far as them resigning, you need to notify human resource immediately. Most of the time the supervisor manager will say, I'll let them know later. I want to talk to the employee. I want to see if I could convince them to stay, and they're trying to do all these things. But a lot of times they feel that human resources needs to know so that we can properly conduct, which is having their final check, having a lot of paperwork that needs to be done for signatures, and so you need time to do this. And so when a supervisor or manager fails to report this immediately, you're just making it worse. Where we're not ready for the employee's departure. So at least you gave them opportunity to start working on what's important. By law, there's so many hours that the employee has to make sure that they have those final wages, and so that's why it's highly important. If you go over and you don't pay on time, there's penalties that you have to pay. The following one is payroll and benefits questions and problems. It's highly important that if an employee has any benefits questions or payroll questions, you either make sure you send them to human resource, but at the same time you report it to human resource. And a lot of times the HR representative will follow up with the employee and ask them, hey, I heard that it was brought up to my attention that there's some you have some benefit questions, and they'll do the follow-up, and like that you don't have to worry about anything, and the human resource representative can go ahead and provide the right information, which they are the experts for this. And the very last but not least is any injury work related. So workers' comp can get very complicated. So it's important that as soon as you know that an employee was injured at work, you report this to human resource immediately, because there's so many high risk, and it's important that we take care of them properly and immediately. So I really hope that all this worked and that it helped you one way or another. So thank you so much for tuning today, and I'll see you next time.